Encourage you to stay tuned for the pilot show where we're going to have surprise mystery guest reading poetry over a bed of music. And I wish you all could be here right now because there are books everywhere. And these books are cool looking books like Tattered and Torn and Ancient. And surprise mystery guest was reading me some poetry and it was making me swoon. So I know you are in for a treat.
All right, you are tuned to KOOP, Hornsby, Austin. It is your community radio station. And today, for the pilot show, I am here. I am your mystery guest. I will be reading poetry from so-called minor poets who have made a major impact on my love of poetry. We're going to span, a few centuries, a few thousand years. We'll start with Omar Khayyam from Iran. We have some Sapho, and then we have some good selections from Italy. 2,765 years ago, Rome was founded this week. So in honor of that, or in recognition of that, we're going to have a little tour through Italy by way of poetry. Gabrielle D'Annuzio. I'll be reading from his Epiphany of the Flame because I love the way he writes. So anyway, I'm going to start here with a short piece from the Rubaiyat, and then we're going to play probably one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard while I get organized, and then I'll come back with some more poetry. So let me start with this from Omar Khayyam. Here with a little bread beneath the bough, a flask of wine, a book of verse, and thou. Beside me singing in the wilderness, oh wilderness, were a paradise enow. And this next song is called Duet from a band called AKELEI. They're from Germany, but probably one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And here it is. Enjoy.
What if I
You came when I was longing for you, and to my heart's suffering and passion's fire, you were delicious ice. Written from ancient Greece, Sapho. Beautiful stuff. The music, German band, song duet. Band's name is Akelei, Akelei. Beautiful stuff. We'll go over to Italy. This is off of, this is from Italian Rhapsody and Other Poems of Italy by Robert UnderWood Johnson. They halted at the terrace wall. Below the towered city lay the valley in the moonlight's thrall. She was silent in a swoon of May. As hand to hand spoke one soft word beneath the friendly ilex tree. They knew not of the flame that stirred. What part was love? What Italy? They knew what makes the moon more bright, where Beatrice and Juliet are. The sweeter perfume in the night, the lovelier starlight in the star, and more than glowing hour did prove beneath the sheltering ilex tree that Italy transfigures love as love transfigures Italy. That was called Love in Italy from Italian Rhapsody and Other Poems of Italy by Robert UnderWood Johnson. And we'll stay in Italy with my favorite author, Gabrielle D'Annuzio. And this is from Epiphany of the Flame. Stelio, does not your heart fail you? For the first time, La Foscarina asked with a slight smile, touching the hand of the silent friend sitting beside her. I see you are a little pale, and you seem preoccupied. Yet this is a beautiful night for the triumph of a great poet. She gathered into one deeply conscious glance all the beauty scattered so divinely through that last hour of September twilight. In the dark living firmament of her eyes, the neighboring garlands of light, created by the oar as it dipped in the water, seemed to encircle the fiery angel that shone from afar on the towers of San Marco and of San Giorgio Maggiore. As ever, she added, in her sweetest voice, as ever all things are favorable to you. On an evening like this, what soul could remain closed to the dream that it shall please your words to bring forth? Do not you feel already the crowd is eager to welcome your revelations? Thus delicately she soothed her friend, wrapping him round with continual praise, exalting him with continual hope. No more unusual and more magnificent festival could have been imagined for the purpose of enticing from the ivory tower a disdainful poet such as you are. This joy of entering for the first time into communion with the multitude in a sovereign place such as the hall of the Greater Council was reserved for you alone. Stelio Afrena looked deep in her eyes. "Do you wish to intoxicate me?" he said, with sudden gaiety. "This that you are offering me is the cup you would place before one going to the scaffold. Well then, yes, my friend, I confess that my heart does shrink a little." A sound of applause burst from the passage of San Gregio, echoing along the Grand Canal, re-echoing in the precious discs of porphyry and serpentine, adoring the house of the Darios that stooped under their weight like a decrepit courtesan under the pomp of her jewels. The royal barge was passing. "Here is the one among your listeners whom the ceremony bids you crown with some flower of your speech in the preamble," said the woman, alluding to the queen. "In one of your first books, I believe, you confess your taste and your respect for the ceremonials. One of your most extraordinary feats of imagination is that which has for its motive the description of the day of Charles II of Spain. The two occupants of the gondola saluted the barge as it passed them. The queen, blonde, rosy, illumined by the freshness of the inexhaustible smile that was forever rippling along the pale meshes of her Burmese laces, looked back, moved by an impulse of spontaneous curiosity, as she recognized the poet of Persephone and the great tragic actress. By her side was Andriana Duodo, the patroness of Burano, the industrious little island where she cultivated a dainty garden of thread for the marvelous renewing of antique flowers. "Do you think, Stelio, that those two women have twin smiles?" La Foscarina said, watching the water gurgle in the furrow left by the receding gondola, where the reflection of that double glamour seemed to prolong itself. "The Countess is a magnificent and ingenious spirit, one of those rare Venetian souls that have remained strongly colored like their ancient canvases," said Stelio, with grateful remembrance. Gabrielle D'Annuzio, from Epiphany of the Flame. This is from the poet Philip Henderson, from A Wind in the Sand, limited to 50 books, of which I'm reading from one. "Lines Suggested by One of the Last Quarters of Beethoven" is the title. "The air is terrible with stars, their number more than any tears. But these unsleeping lids of stone drop no relieving tear. And here there comes not ever sweet dew, nor voice of bird, but silence on this promontory. Dead is the world, dead and over. No more are her seas, her trees, petrified they are, and man is no more at the last hour. Brood. Brood, O moon, on your solitude. Brood on the world." By Philip Henderson. This next selection is from Alice Meynell, written in the 1860s. It's called A Poet of One Mood. A poet of one mood in all my lays, ranging all life to sing one only love. Like a west wind across the world I move, sweeping my harp that floods mine own wild ways. The country's changed, but not the west wind days, which are my songs. My soft skies shine above, and on the seas of color of a dove, and on the fields flash of silver grays, I make the whole world answer to my art, in sweet monotonous meanings. In your ears I change not ever, bearing for my part one thought that is the treasure of my ears. A small cloud full of rain upon my heart. And in my arms clasped like a child in tears. A Poet of One Mood by Alice Meynell. This next piece is from Love and Friendship by Emerson. It's called simply Love. Every soul is a celestial Venus to every other soul. The heart has its Sabbath and jubilees, in which the world appears as a hymnal feast, and all nature sounds and the circle of seasons are erotic odes and dances. Love is omnipresent in nature, as motive and reward. Love is our highest word, and a synonym for God. Every promise of the soul has innumerable fulfillments. Each of its own joys ripens into a new want. Nature, uncontainable, flowing, forelooking, and the first sentiment of kindness anticipates already a benevolence which shall lose all particular regard in its general light. The introduction to this felicity is in a private and tender relation of one to one, which is the enchantment of human life, which, like a certain divine rage and enthusiasm, seizes on man at one period and works a revolution in his mind and body, unites him to his race, pledges him to the domestic pledges him to the domestic and civic relations, carries him with new sympathy into nature, enhances the power of the senses, opens the imagination, adds to his character heroic and sacred attributes, establishes marriage, and gives permanence to human society. It's an excerpt from Love and Friendship by Emerson. This next piece is also from Alice Meynell. It's called To a Lost Melody. Thou art not dead, O sweet lost melody, sung beyond memory. When golden to the winds the world of ours, waved wild with boundless flowers, sung in some past, when wildernesses were, not dead, not dead, lost heir. Yet in the ages long where lurkest thou, and what soul knows thee now?